Bryan Johnny Blaze Creekmore, the notorious third in command of the Nazi lowriders, is a name that sends chills down the spine of anyone familiar with his story. With 6 confirmed murders under his belt, he's a figure of fear in the prison system, commanding respect from inmates and correctional officers alike. But beneath that violent exterior lies a complex character. Former inmates describe him as fiercely loyal, someone who would stand by his friends no matter the cost. Yet his reputation for brutality is undeniable. He's known for brutally beating up fellow inmates and even police officers. It's a chilling paradox, how someone so feared can also be seen as one of the nicest guys in the gang. This duality makes Bryan a captivating figure in the world of true crime, embodying the thin line between loyalty and violence. His story starts with watching his brother shot and killed in front of him. He didn't care anymore. His goal was to burn the world to the ground. His affiliation led him to being on the run at the age of 22. The FBI, DRA, United States Marshals, and even the CIA were searching for him. I can verify this because agents from each one stormed my home as well as others searching for him. Bryan ran to Puerto Rico, then Cuba, then to Mexico, where he was chased by Mexican military police out of the country. I remember my cousin Smokey called and said Bryan stole the cartel's speedboat in Michoacan and is running from the Mexican military headed to Cali. Meet him, pick him up. I've known him for around 20 years, and I always tell him he should make a movie about his life. And of course I had to have an interview with him. I've watched him assault, cut, and shoot cops and feds. I've watched cops pull us over with hundreds of thousands of dollars of marijuana and can smell it. They get to the vehicle and realize it's him in there and tip their hat without a word, get in their cars, and leave. That reminds me. One time we were just coming back from Mexico, 70 kilos of cocaine, 309 pounds of marijuana, and 8,000 cartons of cigarettes. We get into Texas coming through Houston. We have to make a drop there. Well, Bryan gets in the back of the U-Haul truck with his guns. We also had a .50 caliber machine gun mounted in back. We get pulled over about 3 miles from our destination. I was driving. Part of me was scared of getting caught, but what scared me the most was Bryan sitting back there hidden with a fully auto .50 cal. I knew if they tried to take us or search, they or us would die. Maybe both, because Bryan wasn't going easy. The officer walks up, asks for driver's license and insurance, then says open the back. I knew Bryan could hear. I was nervous as I walked to the back. I opened the back, and there stood Bryan, M16 fully auto machine gun in his hands. The cop's eyes grew huge and went to reach. I remember thinking this is it. I went to reach for my gun, but Bryan just said what sounded like a foreign word. The cop froze, walked off, made a call on his phone, and when he came back I could tell something was different. The cop did something I never seen before. He took his gun belt off, put it in his car. He approached us and told Bryan, "I'm sorry, Mr. Creekmore, have a safe trip." That blew my mind. It was at this point I got to thinking that Bryan wasn't quite who we thought, but he would never speak on it. I remember one day we were about 20, and we were riding through Oklahoma with about $500,000 of heroin in a haul truck. Johnny Blaze saw a guy who had disrespected him and slapped a lady friend of ours. He hollered to pull over and followed the guy to the gas station. He approached him right as he opened the door, beat him unconscious in about 10 seconds, shot him through both hands and said, "That's for putting your hands on someone under my protection." Then he sliced his mouth on the right side all the way to the ear and told him, "That's for letting disrespect to me come out of your mouth." We freaked and started running to the G-Wagon. Bryan, as cool as a cucumber, peeks into the store, looks at everyone, and licked the guy's blood off the knife and said, "Imagine what would happen to everyone here and your families if the police get any info." He walked up to each person, made them pull out IDs. He took a picture of them all and made the owner give up security tape. They were already horrified after what they saw him do. Months later, the news ran a story on it. It said the store owner locked his shop and wouldn't come out to speak to police, and no witnesses came forward. Just to clarify, all I'm saying is with Bryan's permission. Johnny is the guy you want to have on your side. Every gang club person involved in anything in the US, Mexico, Puerto Rico knows him or of him, and he gets what he wants. He's not the guy you want to have upset with you. You would rather try to fuck the devil in the ass than fuck with him. I heard an officer tell another officer that as evil as Bryan was, he would still go to heaven because Satan would be too scared to let him in. That's it for part 1, part 2 upcoming. So like, subscribe, and pray for my boy.